It's time to finally figure out my hot mess of a pantry. And I'm all about that aesthetically pleasing, Pinterest-worthy pantry just like everyone else. But as a chef, I'm actually way more interested in it being practical and easy to maintain so that I actually want to cook. Does that sound interesting to you? If it does and you want to walk with me as I clean out my pantry and organize it like a chef, then keep on watching. What's up, universe? It's Julie, your kitchen coach, and welcome back to our channel. And in case you're new here, I'm a trained chef who's passionate about helping beginner cooks gain confidence in the kitchen. And one of the ways to do that is to make sure you set yourself up for success. In order to do that, you need to focus on your pantry. Now, take this with a grain of salt because currently my pantry is a hot mess. And if you watched this video, you would have seen that we recently moved into our new home and there were bigger fish to fry, a lot of things we had to take care of, so I couldn't really focus on getting my pantry together, cleaning up, decorating, all that jazz. But it's the new year, so it's now time to focus on it. Another main motivator for doing it right now is because we'll be shooting for Skillshare soon. That's right, if you haven't heard of it, we're gonna be jumping onto Skillshare. We'll still be here on YouTube, but it's our way of developing a course or a class where you can dive deeper in with me with more culinary skills, cooking with intuition, fun things like that. So keep that in mind. Yes, I like all of that beautiful looking kind of pantries that you see all over Pinterest. Who doesn't? But I'm gonna go the practical route, and all you need is this kind of stuff, right? So I have some painter's tape, which is one of my favorite tools. I mention it in so many of my videos. And this is because you can easily stick this on and peel it off without worrying about it leaving residue. You also have some Sharpie markers so that you can write down everything on here. I also have some scissors so that you can open packages because we're gonna try to remove things out of their packages and containers as much as possible. I have a P-Touch machine. It's a label maker. Joe got this for me a while back. I've been using it here and there, and I actually may use it today or I might not, I don't know. It's whatever floats my boat. I'm gonna go over a few containers that I have. I'm gonna be focusing on these guys. I'll leave a link down below in the description box for these kinds of containers. As you can tell, they're kind of like the soup containers or takeout containers, and some of them come with lids or sometimes you have to order it separately, but you make sure you have the lids. And I like these because the lids fit in all three different sizes. Not only that, but they're stackable. So once you fill them up, you can easily stack them up, plus they're clear. I also grabbed these. All of these things I did not go out and buy. I had this stuff lying around. I just haven't been using it. So these are like can holders. This is from the Dollar Tree. So, I mean, this is pretty sturdy for $1. And you just like stack your cans like this. I've also put packets of stuff in there. I don't know if I'll use this or not. I have some, ooh, this is kind of dirty. I should have washed this. I have some leftover jars. I always just had these around and actually I haven't been using them. So they were just like stored away in my cupboards. I got stuff like this. This is from the Dollar Tree. Oh, I actually washed some more, so I forgot they're in my dishwasher too. And if all else fails, you can grab a cardboard box. You can use a shoe box. I mean, I feel like that's very Marie Kondo, right? She just like uses any kind of cardboard box, shoe box that she has lying around. I have some bins and buckets that I may or may not use. These are also from the Dollar Tree from previous uses. I also want to emphasize that the way that our kitchen is set up, and I kind of showed you in our kitchen tour, I have my ingredients and my food items all split up. That's the way that it works in my kitchen. So I actually have like 2 areas for pantry. One I devoted to snacks. I may not be working on that this video, but stay tuned because I might work on that in front of you for the next video or another video later. And then I also have Lazy Susan in my cupboards full of spices and sauces. Just keep that in mind as I start organizing. Okay, let's head over. This is my pantry, and this is one of the areas where I keep my ingredients. Not that practical to have it all split up, but you gotta make the best of what you have. This one leads into our basement. Thank God it's now newly renovated, so I don't feel scared every time I open this door. But here we go. I would say this area is where you kind of grab your cooking ingredients. So I have some jarred and canned items, pantry staples, pastas, noodles, things like that. I also have some overstock of storage items. So I have some of these like to-go trays, napkins, assorted cutlery. Way down here, I have everything from like onions to paper plates, just leftover riffraff. But it's driving me bonkers and it's time to really start gutting everything out. Even though it pains you and it's annoying, you just gotta sit here and gut everything out. There's no way to figure it out without doing that. So let's get started. Phew. When you do this, it's going to be a crazy mess. So it's no wonder that I've been putting this off until now. You might have to do this at nighttime if you have small kids, or they can help you, but you need to find that extended period of your day where you can just focus on this. And I don't have a whole lot in this pantry. It's not like a full inventory of all my sauces and ingredients that I have, including snacks. When you add that to your pantry, that's like a whole other animal. So keep that in mind and make sure you allot enough time in your day to do this. I'm gonna start out with making sure that I have two like trash bags. One is for trash, one is for recycling as I unveil the packaging. Obviously, the first thing to do is to get rid of any old items. And honestly, some of the stuff I grabbed with me when we moved. So it's coming from our old house, put in boxes. I don't know how old it is. I did one sweep of inventory before we packed up and moved, but by now it could still be old. Just corral like items together. So all my canned items, for now, I'll probably just put it in here, but it may not stay in here. I realized with these guys, it's easier if you have similar items. Like if you have all cans of chicken soup, they can go in here because you know that's all chicken soup. But if you have a hodgepodge of different items that are all unique, then it's kind of hard to put them all together because then some of them will get buried and you won't see what it is. So you're less likely to use it. Scissors. And recycling. I already feel like a weight coming off of me getting rid of that packaging. I have a ton, and I mean a ton of pastas, so I'm just gonna go through those boxes first. Here's the thing, I have a little kid, that's why I have so much of this Kraft mac and cheese. It's like you buy that Costco box. Since I know I have so many of these, I'm just gonna corral them together in another one of these things for now. Make them all facing the same way, just so it looks like a supermarket. Now with these boxes, the new boxes I'll put aside. Open boxes, I'm gonna put it into containers. A pantry is just like your clothes closet, right? Like you open it and if it's too jam-packed, you don't even know or appreciate what you have inside. It's hard to see what you have. So it's better to try to like make it as clear as possible. It is see-through, so if you don't wanna label this, you don't have to. And I put it in the front because if you put it on the top, you won't be able to see it. And then this is good because if I change my mind, I use up all the rotini and I want to use this container for something else, I don't have to sit there like erasing chalk paint or removing labels or things like that. I can just peel this off and use something else. I was kind of organized by sort of putting my Asian rice noodles and soba noodles together. I kind of had this system going of like putting it in Ziploc bags. I find that I'm actually a little bit less likely to use it when it's like this. So I think I'm gonna put it in a container. I forgot I had this whole thing of pasta and noodles too. This bag is open, but because my pantry wasn't organized, I went ahead and bought another bag. So that's what happens. I realized that these kinds of bins, the ones that are rectangular, you know, they're pretty sturdy, have some sort of a handle, they tend to be the most practical bins in terms of like taking up the right amount of space in your pantry too. What you have to practice is FIFO. FIFO, which is first in, first out. It's a restaurant terminology. So obviously this one was opened, so I'm gonna put that in the front. If it's not opened already, I'm just gonna put it in this bin of my Asian noodles. This one I definitely just bought. So new, new, and new. Spring roll wrappers. Similar vein. These rice noodles are open and in this Ziploc, so we will move them on over. I'm playing hermit crab with this rice noodle to see which one has a big enough home for it. I tend to buy rice noodles a lot. I use it for easy pad thai. I also make this kind of like fake pho. It's something that I do when I want dinner in a hurry. These are like Korean style naengmyeon noodles. So I have a bibimbap naengmyeon recipe too, if you want to check that out. That's what I use this for. So I have one that's not open. This one, I'll try to see, does it fit in here? So you can use your P-Touch label for this kind of stuff too if you want it to look even prettier. If you want to be able to swap out what's on that P-Touch label, you can put a piece of painter's tape first and then put the label on top. That way you can easily still peel off the label. So now the point of doing something like this, why bother putting it into little glass jars and stuff, is I'll be honest with you, when I put them into things like this, Ziploc bags, or left it like curled up with a rubber band, honestly, I'm less likely to use it because I kind of forget it's there. It gets squished into the bottom of the bin, just sitting in there, right? All rumpled up. So you forget to use it. When it's like large and in charge and in your face and easily seen, especially in something see-through with, you know, the label, not only do you know how low you're getting on your inventory, like this is probably just enough rice noodles for one serving. So if I'm gonna make a dish, I need to grab another pack. So then you know that. So when you're writing your grocery list, you can kind of like make a note to get more rice noodles. So it definitely helps you to have all assorted sizes of containers and bins at different heights. Sometimes you really do need the tall ones, the skinny ones, the flat ones, because you don't want to take up a lot of real estate in your pantry. During this process, it's going to be super annoying and frustrating because like I keep pouring it into one container and then the next. I've been keeping and recycling certain jars on purpose because you never know what kind of container or what size you need. I'm using a kimchi jar. So like we eat a lot of kimchi and it comes in these really great durable glass jars. Look around the house and see what you can repurpose. Pickle jars do the trick, things like that. Now, if you want to go a little bit fancy and not just use pickle and kimchi jars all day, I do recommend these. These are from OXO and any variation from OXO. They have the little pop-up top. We usually put our cereals in here, but I'm going to use it for my spaghetti. And I'll leave a link for these down below in our description box. Spaghetti is one of those things that I'll always be buying and I just can keep adding to this. So I don't mind giving it a precious coveted OXO container. In a situation like this, I actually don't know if I'm gonna wanna store it this way or this way. If I store it this way, it's easier for me to grab. But this way also looks prettier. It depends on how it fits on my shelf. So I'm just gonna label it on both sides. So here's a tip. If you do something like this this is Korean fried chicken mix, you can get the Korean grocery store. I'm putting it in here to keep it fresh because I had left over. If you want to, you can grab your handy scissors and cut out any instructions they might have on the back of the box or the label. I do this a lot with like pancake and waffle mix because I forget the ratios of how much water to egg and oil you need to put in. So you make yourself a little cheat sheet. You can either cut it out and stick it onto the back, or you can get a Post-it and then just make yourself a little note. And it's so funny because Joe is the one who just reminded me of this, but when you have expiration dates on these dry goods, whether it's noodles, pastas, you know, things like that, or even this kind of stuff, you can write the expiration date on there too. that will also help you with FIFO. So like if you look through an inventory of your pantry and you're trying to figure out what to make, and then you see that something's gonna expire in the next month, then you can keep it on your radar to use that first. So I think I'm gonna make this little bin my frying mix and seasonings kind of basket, because not only do I have this, but I remember I bought this, which I never used, and this is kind of like for catfish. It's like a Louisiana fish fry. I've never used this, but I've been meaning to, and I just kept forgetting that I had it. So I'm gonna put this in the bin with this guy. Put this together for now, even though I might put this separately. So this has been open, and in this case, this is what I was talking about. It has like the little instructions in the back. I could just rewrite it, and I might do that because this is pretty big, but sometimes I just tape it to the back if I'm lazy. I have some rogue items that don't fit anywhere. Like this was given to me from Soul Mills. You know that I talk about them a lot. And so this is kind of like dried fish that you make into soup. So if you have onions and potatoes, you definitely want to keep them in a cool, dark place. So a pantry is a perfect place for that, but you want to make sure they have good airflow so they don't rot. So I always keep my onions like this, in this kind of basket. If I had potatoes, I would keep it in another type of basket like that. I also didn't mention these bins. These are my favorite. I buy these all the time. I'm at Costco. They're like a stack of 3. I use them for everything. I'm gonna gather all these things like Thanksgiving table cover, plates, and then I realized this just frees me up a bucket that I didn't know I had. So I'll probably put my dried fish items and stuff in here. Soul Mills also gave me these box of clams. They're dried clams, which I've never used, and I'm excited to use it, but I keep forgetting to use it. So I'm gonna put that in here too. It's my like Soul Mills bucket. I don't know about you, but I already feel so much better about my life. Just putting things all together, not having them all loose, making sense of it. Even things like this, yeah, sure, it looks compact in a box, but I'm less likely to pull it out and use it if it's just like crammed in that box as it was. I would have to climb up the ladder and pull it down, which made no sense to me. That's one of my last tips. If you're going to use it, make sure you put it at eye level. Like your items that you're going to use the most, whether it's like pastas and grains, sauces. I know sometimes you can't because of the restrictions of your shelving, because like maybe it's too tall. If that's the case, I understand, but at least put it towards the front and then use the back end of your pantry for lesser used items. So for instance, for me, I don't do a whole ton of baking. So for me, it would make sense to put my baking ingredients out of view and up high so that I have to climb the ladder to get that, because I won't do that every day. If you worry too much about being Pinterest worthy, you might lose the whole point. It won't be as functional and you'll get frustrated not being able to maintain and keep up with it. Especially nowadays, we're cooking way more. We're cooking almost every single day for almost every single meal. So your pantry should be a peaceful place that really inspires you to cook. Some final thoughts on my pantry. If you're gonna put some of the things at the top where you can't reach, first of all, make sure you do have like some sort of step ladder or step stool right next to you so that you don't aggravate yourself. I'm gonna keep my folding one right next to here. And make sure that bin is light so that if you do go to grab it, it's super light. You don't have to worry about it falling on your head. So it's all the light items that are a little bit more unique and exotic. And even when you're standing on a ladder, you don't have to worry about holding something super heavy like glass jars, bottles of sauce, things that could crack and break or crash down on you. I wanted to make what was the most accessible, what made the most sense to me, what would inspire me the most when I'm coming into the pantry and figuring out what to cook. And that's what I have here. Even this big kimchi jar of short grain rice, it's in the front, blocking off my hard work of my pretty jars in the back. But this is realistically how I cook. I usually grab the rice first. So I don't want to put it all the way in the back where I'm digging for it and moving things around to get to it. I'm being realistic to me. The mac and cheese has to be at hand because of Lincoln. But a good tip is to just put out what you need for now. For instance, if you buy bulk at Costco, if you buy a ton of mac and cheese, only put out like 3 or 4 boxes. Put the overstock in a bin, in an airtight bin somewhere else, in a garage, in a closet, anywhere else. Then you can just reload as you're done with that. That will help you with your FIFO too. It's the next day, and I'm glad that it is because I needed to check my pantry again with fresh eyes. I did examine it this morning and I just like rearranged a few things, but now I think it's good. What I want to mention are my labels. I took the painter's tape and went around and stuck on labels on all of the bins, even if it's quite obvious, like onions. You can totally see what's in there, but just to have more of a uniform look, and also for my sake that if I want to continue on with this pantry system and maintain it, it's a good way for me to just kind of like know what goes in what. I can just look right into the sections. So you can see that I have like a section just for like my Asian noodles and rice, and then my like pastas and flours, etc. Another thing is that you got to make sure it's practical for you. So I have these lightweight quart containers, you know, like the containers that I used to actually fill items like this. I use these guys all the time for storing leftovers, for cooking, for doing mise en place, and I don't have a space like that in my kitchen, so I just put it here. It kind of makes no sense for everyone else, but for me it does. On the bottom I have like sauces and jarred items. This is something that I already had from before. It's like a stacking bin system. I wanted to make use of all the space on the bottom, so I think these are practical. And then I have my broths and soups at the bottom. At least I can see it, so it's not hiding away. Lastly, you could do something like this, like putting up Post-its, a chart, a sheet, something to just remind you when you run out of something, and then you can just scribble it down. I tend to use my phone and an app on that to go grocery shopping, so I don't really, you know, make physical lists. But if I just want to quickly write down that I'm running low on rice noodles, for instance, I can just do that, making sure to grab more. Or if there's something in the overstock that like I know I'll probably forget, I'll write it down too. So be like, hey, don't forget this guy is still here. Or if something's about to expire, you can make a note too. Be like, make sure you use this first so it's not just a waste of money. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this. This is all in preparation for our Skillshare class. So I hope that you stay tuned for that. We'll make sure that you know when it's out. I'm gonna go shoot that next. So wish me good luck, guys, and I hope some of you follow me over there. If you enjoyed watching me organize my pantry in a realistic, maintainable, and practical way, then let me know in the comments below. Push like, subscribe, and push that bell for notifications so that you know every time a new video like this one comes out next. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.